and welcome to another podcast from the Heart of the Witch's Path. I'm your co-host, Helen.
And I'm Kathy.
And we're coming to you today from
I-75.
That's right. Because there's an event we're headed to today, and we are recording on the road because, well, that's when we have time to.
Busy.
We want to make sure to keep these podcasts going for you guys, and so we're recording it and, give us some feedback on how it sounds. We did a little test, and we think that
the background noise will be okay.
Right. So happy. We're recording this on November 1st, so I hope that everyone had a wonderful Samhain.
Yes.
We had ritual yesterday.
Very nice.
Very lovely. So yeah, let's get into, we're going to continue the tag of the 77 Witchy Community Questions. I think I got that right. But before we get to that, it's time for the Correspondence of the Week, or whatever. So we thought that we would share a little bit of a personal correspondence for each of us. Do you want to tell them what we're going to do?
We're going to be doing the stone correspondences for our personal goddesses.
Yes. For those of you who happen to work with these particular goddesses, and you were wondering what stones are sacred to them,
you could do a Google search, or you could listen to us.
Or you could just listen to us, because we're about to tell you.
Right.
So, Kathy, why don't you go ahead and share who your goddess is and what her stones are?
Well, my patron goddess is Bast, the cat goddess of Egypt, and her stone correspondences are the tiger eye, lapis lazuli, jasper, and pyrite. Yes. Look, I remember that all off the top of my head because I'm driving.
Right. She's driving. And then my personal goddess is Bridget from the Celtic pantheon, and her stones are angelite and lapis lazuli and sodalite.
Oh, look, we share a stone.
Yes.
Check that out.
Woo. We should check the number of the letters of that and see what it does. So
don't make me do numerology driving down I-75.
Yes, it's kind of interesting. So there we have the Correspondence of the Week. Wow.
That's sad.
I was trying to think what podcast we're on, like what the number is.
Dude, I don't even know. You were supposed to check these things.
Yeah, well, I meant to. I think we're on 13 or 14.
Yeah, I think it's 13.
I'm sure it'll be in the title bar.
Sure.
So, I mean, it's always good for us to know. So, let's jump right in. So, we've covered the first 30 questions.
Wow.
So, we're about halfway through.
Sure.
So, I hope you guys are hanging in there with us. We're having fun answering these. Well, I'm having fun answering these.
We're having fun.
Okay, good. I don't want to assume anything. So, all right. So, we left off with question 30. So, question 31 is, if you could pick a certain witchcraft tradition that suits your practice most, what would it be? Druidic, Celtic, Wicca?
Wow. Well, Wicca to me is a conglomeration of a lot of different practices. And to me, that's what I practice. But if I was to pick a different tradition, I would be interested in the Druidic tradition.
Yeah, but the question is, what do you think your practice?
Well, again, because Wicca is a conglomeration of many different ones, I think my practice is Wicca.
Gotcha. I guess I would call mine eclectic.
Right. That's what I consider Wicca. Although I was watching, okay, well, I won't get into it. I was watching the show on ID about this witch that got stalked, and she was saying some things that I was like, that's not really what I practice. It was kind of interesting. We'll talk more after the podcast.
Okay. All right. So question 32 is, what was the most creative spell you've ever done? What did you use?
Oh, you mean put time and thought into it, or off the cuff?
Well, the most creative. And choose to not talk about spell work if you want, because I think I'm going to choose to opt out of this question.
Really? Well, I'm not going to opt out of it. I guess to me, creative is something that you have to go off the cuff on. And I had a job where my office was in the basement. Yes, I was back there with the red stapler. It was fine. And they wanted to move me out of the basement. I didn't want to move out of the basement. And so I did a spell with a packet of salt from the restaurant across the street, and to remove the negativity and to drive this guy away who kept harping on me moving because it wasn't any of his business anyway. And I remained in the basement for over a year after that.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So the next question is, what do you prefer for divination? Tarot, oracle, runes, etc., and why?
Well, I really like the runes, but I like it more for magic than for divination. So I would have to say I like tarot for divination. And why? Because you have not only a variety of decks, but a variety of imagery, and depending on the deck, you could pull different ideas and reasons for the cards from the images, as well as falling back on the standard meanings for the cards. I mean, you can look at the picture and go, oh, well, I see this in the picture, and this applies to the question because of this.
Right.
It's very flexible.
Yeah. I would agree that I'm probably like a tarot person at heart. I try to like use other things. But yeah, tarot's the one thing that I kind of go back to more often than not. So, and why? I like the cards. I'm drawn to the methodicness of shuffling cards, and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a certain mindset that you get into when you shuffle cards.
It's kind of meditative.
Yes. There's that rhythm.
Right.
So, oh, look at us, just moving right along. 34 is, what are some ways you keep yourself grounded?
Well, I have a ground and centering thing that I do to keep myself grounded, but as far as daily, I have a mantra that I like to use. I am here is now, I am now, to try to keep myself in the moment and not to get myself off on a tangent or in a too nervous or skittish about things. So I guess those two things would be what I would say.
For me, I find myself breathing deeply.
That too.
I can tell when I'm getting too off kilter, and I breathe deep to bring myself back. I've been wearing a piece of kunzite for a while, because I bought it at the Pagan Pride Festival. So I've been wearing that, and that's good for balance and grounding and centering, and I think that helps. So yeah, that's something I've been working on lately. 35. What have you had Oh. Have you had a spell go horribly wrong?
Well, I try to be really, really careful about my spells, about the reason that I do them and the outcome that I'm looking for. I don't know that I've had one go horribly wrong.
I haven't had one go horribly wrong, but I have one that has gone wrong and has since caused me to, when you learn about doing spell work, you're instructed to be specific in your intent and to not name people or have a specific job in mind or things like that. And I learned that the hard way because I did a love spell, and the love spell brought just the wrong individual. And so, yeah, I learned that quite quickly. So again, it wasn't horrible because it's not like anything bad happened, but I did have a situation that I then had to deal with, and still to this day
Still have to deal with years later.
Yeah, so be careful with your intent with spells. That was a baby witch's mistake.
Right, and we all make them.
Right. So, 36. What are your opinions on initiation rituals?
Well, I think they're important. Whether you do self-initiation or group initiation, I think it's important because it delineates the change. Here's what you were before your initiation, and now here's your change point. And what you are from here is different. Exactly.
Right. And I think that it's important to have those rebirths.
And I think our culture really is missing a lot of those. I don't want to say initiation rituals, but coming of age rituals. We're not doing what the ancient cultures used to do. When a woman got her period, they would do there were certain things that they did for her. When a boy became a man, there were certain things that they did for him, and we're missing that in our culture.
Yeah, I wish that. We still see things in different cultures, like you see the quinceañeras for Mexican Catholics. You see the bar mitzvahs and the bar what is it? What's the...
I don't know.
The
bat mitzvah.
Bat mitzvah. Yeah, I knew there was a separate term for boys and girls. But I like it. I like when... how do I say this? I like to see croning rituals for women in the Wicca faith that do that. I think that it's encouraging for us as witches and Wiccans to see that we have a generation that reaches that croning and saging age.
Right.
So I like to see those. Right. Although I've never been to one. I like to hear about them.
Sometime in the next 5 years, we'll be having one.
One can hope.
One can only hope, yes. No, it'll be within the next 5 years, trust me. My body is telling me.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that they're important as well. Especially in the graduation, in going through mystery schools. I think it's important to have that culmination of the year and a day of study, and to have that initiation, and to have a symbol of that passage.
Right. So
I think it's important for life milestones, and I think it's important for, I guess, and by life milestones, I mean like the age, the coming of age, the croning, the saging, that kind of a thing. But also in your growth as far as your path or whatever.
Right. Well, you're gaining degrees in Wicca, you're joining covens or groups. Yeah, initiation rituals are very important.
Yes, so I think that covers that one.
Pretty thoroughly.
37. Have you had full contact with your deity? And if so, what happened?
Define full contact.
Well, that's what I was wondering too. I would imagine it would be something like an invocation. I mean, we can set that for ourselves.
Well, I mean, I've never taken Bast into myself and had her speak through me, but I've had her speak to me quite damn clearly. And yeah, that was something. And in meditations, I do some shape-shifting into my totem animal. And since my totem animal is a very large black cat, and so is Bast, maybe that would be full contact.
I've had to invoke Bridget as part of homework. And that was pretty profound. So yeah, and that's kind of a personal experience that I'm not gonna talk about. But it was a positive one. I can say, I will share that it was a positive experience.
Good.
So, all right. So that covers that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
38. What about you is unwitchy?
I don't know. I don't know. Let me think about that while you answer the question.
Oh, unwitchy. I try to live as if everything is magical. So, I don't always succeed. But that's part of being human, and nobody's perfect. So, unwitchy.
Yeah, I guess it would depend on your definition of witchy. I mean, everybody has their own definition of what witchy means to them. I, too, try to live as if everything is magical and to live in the moment and to experience everything that I can. But there are things that I don't do that I feel that I should, like recycle. But that might be witchy to one person and not witchy to someone else. So it really depends on your definition of witchy, I guess.
I guess I take it to mean when you talk about witchy, that's how I identify myself. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess
Yeah.
I'm not unwitchy. I live every day as a witch.
Yeah, me too.
So, hope that makes sense. 39. For the dating witch, how do you tell a new love interest that you are a witch?
Dude, I've been married for almost 30 years. If he doesn't know I'm a witch by now, there's a problem.
Well, I think it's probably something that should come up sooner rather than later, because I mean, being a witch or Wiccan or however you identify as, that is your religion.
And you have to be upfront about it, and you want to be honest, because you don't want to get into a relationship and then go, oh, by the way, I'm a witch.
Right. I mean, you would tell someone that you're a vegetarian.
Right.
You would tell someone if you were transgender.
Right. Well,
I mean, hopefully. Your religion is specific to you and therefore very personal. And so I would hope that it's something that would come up early on.
Right.
So that being said, as far as like, how do you tell them? Well, you have to own it.
You do. I mean, you don't come out and say, well, Christianity is wrong and I don't believe in it, but you need to at least get out there early in the relationship. I am pagan or Wiccan, and these are the things that I believe, and that doesn't mean that you're wrong or anyone else is wrong. Mm-hmm. That just means that's what I believe.
Right. And I feel like you need to own it.
Yeah.
I'm a witch. I feel like you should know that.
Right. Now, I will say, though, in my relationship with my husband, like I said, we've been together 30 years. I was not a witch. Well, okay, I didn't realize that I was a witch when I met him. And it was only over the course of time that I developed into the religion and into the witch I feel that I am today. And I have to say that he was really, really good about supporting my decisions and beliefs, although he's as religious as anybody I've ever met. So he doesn't care as long as I'm happy. I have to say that.
Yeah. And there you have it. Let's see. Number 40. Who is a past witch that inspired you, whether famous or not?
Okay. The question I really wanted to hear on that is real or not.
Well, whether famous or
Yeah,
not.
okay. Well,
It does say past witch.
I don't know of any non-famous past witches, so I don't know. I guess Joan of Arc always really spoke to me, even though she was considered a witch at the time, but today probably wouldn't be. And the Salem trials, witch trials, even though those women probably weren't witches either. I guess that would be it for me.
I'm sitting here racking my brain.
That's why I wanted to do real or not, because things like the Wizard of Oz were very, very meaningful to me, and not just Glenda. Let me tell you, the whole good witch, bad witch. You know, to me, again, the Wicked Witch of the West was misunderstood, but that show really had an impact on my life. Not that she was real.
Right, and I guess I don't know. I am the only known witch in my family. So I have not come into contact with anyone who was a practicing witch. There is someone that I think about, and unfortunately I have no idea where she is. But when I was in college, I had a friend whom we had a really incredible bond with, and he basically adopted me into his family, and we were involved in a fan club. I won't go into any of the details there, but when he got married to his second wife, I stood up for them. And I knew that she was a witch. Like, it was talked about, but unfortunately, I didn't know enough to have... I could have been a witch so much longer had I really just kind of talked to her about it. But... And I kind of kick myself about that because...
You know, it's funny that you say that, because one of the neighbors growing up, the mom of the family, passed away last year. And talking about it with my sister, I found out that one of the daughters identified as a witch back then, and that the mom had checked into a lot of alternative religions, including Buddhism and witchcraft and everything at the time. So really, I could have been a witch so much sooner.
Right.
Because I dated the son in that family for a while. It's just so weird that I never knew that about that family.
Huh. Well, there you go. So I guess we had... it was near misses.
Sure.
All right, 41. How do you handle rejection from a fellow witch that refuses to do a reading or spell for you?
I don't have that problem. I do my own spell work, and my friends are very nice enough to do readings when I ask them to, and if they're too busy, I do my own readings.
Yeah, I guess yeah, I have the same experiences, and if someone were to reject me, then that's their
Well, then you'd have to ask yourself, why did they reject you? Is there something that you're missing? Should you really be doing that spell or reading at that
Right.
time?
And really, that's their purview.
Right.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything for anybody.
And I guess I don't really know why you would ask someone else to do a spell for you.
Right.
Why wouldn't you do it yourself?
Exactly.
Take responsibility. Take action yourself.
Right. You're a witch, damn it.
You have power. Do it yourself.
Right. Yeah, so that question's that was a surprising question.
Huh, yeah.
Let's just move on to 42.
Okay.
Do you think casting circles are necessary?
Oh, yes and no. Yes and no.
I would agree.
It is not necessary to cast a circle before you do magic. I've done instant magic quite often and not cast a circle. However, casting a circle can act as a battery, a container that can be used as a battery to hold the energy that you're raising and to keep bad stuff out and good stuff in. And I think it's very important if you're doing any kind of ritual to do a circle. And sometimes it's important if you're even meditating to do a circle.
I concur. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, did I cover everything?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm done.
I covered it.
43. If Steven Spielberg called and wanted to make a movie of your life, who would you want to be cast as you? This is too easy.
Nev Campbell.
Yeah, Giselle Bundchen.
Yeah. But, and I just was reading an article about this yesterday, about witchcraft, how it's portrayed in the movies and TV and stuff like that. And it's not very realistic. You don't see a pagan or a Wiccan that is portrayed on TV in any kind of realistic fashion whatsoever. And that's very disappointing.
There is, I haven't watched them. I think I watched the very first one. I think The Good Witch, I think is what it's called.
I have not seen
that. Was on Lifetime. I think it's a series of movies with Catherine Bell, who was in JAG. She... kind of.
Yeah, well, they always do the flashy magic tricks or the just stuff that doesn't happen in real life,
Right.
And why is there no pagans in TV that are portrayed realistically? Why is that?
That isn't like a one-off episode, because Charmed had its charms.
Well, Charmed was definitely a good show, but there was the flashy magic and the lights and the demons and the sorcerers, and it just was not realistic. Why doesn't a show like, I'm just going to use Glee. Why didn't a show like Glee have a pagan? They had a Jew, even though they did not portray her realistically.
They had two Jews.
Oh, true, they did. Okay, one of them they portrayed really realistically, and the other one they did not, which I was very disappointed in. I won't get into it.
Yeah, that would be nice. And I think that's a whole other podcast.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, let's move on. Number 44. What is some advice you would give to someone who has not found their deity?
Meditate, read up on different deities, because you would not be able to identify your deity if you don't have a filing cabinet to pull the identity from.
Exactly. Part of the Keepers of the Hearth mystery school is that you pick a pantheon a year to do research on. And in things like that, I tend to go longer than a year. So
yes, I agree.
But yeah, continue to educate yourself on gods and goddesses, and meditate, and look for something to happen in threes.
You could also look. Oh crap! Sorry, traffic jam. We're in Detroit. What do you want? Anyway, you can also look at your life and see what it is that you're interested in and what draws you, because maybe your goddess is out there god or goddesses out there, and you just don't realize it. I actually came across this in that, okay, I'm a cat fanatic, all right? I am not the crazy cat lady because A, I'm married, and B, I only have 2 cats, but everything for me is cats. And I really like the Egyptian pantheon, and just when it finally clicked for me that Bast was my goddess, I was like, oh yeah, duh, why didn't I know this? So look at your life and look at what you're interested in and what you respect and enjoy now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely a good piece of advice too. But I definitely look for 3s. That's one piece of advice that I was taught. You know, if you meditate on somebody, and if you dream about somebody, and if you see something in the waking world, then that's generally something that's speaking to you. So take heart and listen.
Yes.
So, and let's see, 45. What is some advice that was given to you that you pass along because it made an impact on your path?
You know, dude, we started as solitaries together. I mean, we didn't really know that much about it when we started practicing together. So I don't know that I ever got advice like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's things that I learned as we've moved through our practice, but I don't know that there's anything as a newbie that I was given as advice.
Right. I mean, of course, there's authors that we have learned from. There's authors that we have not learned from. There's practice that has come. There's things in the practice that we learn as we go along. But I don't necessarily, like I said, I really didn't come into contact with a witch or a Wiccan or a pagan really to speak of things prior to declaring myself. So
right.
So that gets us through 15 more questions.
Was that 14 questions? Because we started on 31?
Well, we went through 45.
Okay.
So yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna wrap it up here, and we're at our time. So we're actually a little over time, but that's okay. Just a couple of minutes.
We'll blame it on the traffic jam.
So that's going to be it for us for now. I hope that you are enjoying these questions as we go through them and answer them. I think I'm enjoying it.
Me too.
So until next time, thank you for taking the time to walk along in the path with us for a little while, and safe travels until next time. Blessed be.
Blessed be.